it makes my brain burn with frustration that I know for at least 10 years I have said every week that they will set up 3 economic unions, North American, European, and Asian, with subunions, and then get those countries in debt through fiat fraud, and then implode them, and then merge them into a global open banking dictatorship. Now, that is openly being announced for Europe. It will then be announced for North America and Asia. They are openly announcing it. I listened to Bloomberg last night on the radio, Bloomberg Radio. They had 5 guests on this show as I drove home at 10 o'clock at night for 35 minutes, and every one of them was reading off a script saying the same thing, even in the same order. That, well, Europe's got to now get rid of its sovereignty entirely and set up a private economic union over it, a United States of Europe, which is the opposite of that. No republic, no freedom. And then this morning, the Prime Minister of England, a bunch of other leaders said the only way to save the world economy is for all sovereignty to be fully removed, not just from the individual countries in Europe, but from the euro itself to this new private cartel. This is ruled by bankers openly, not even through their government puppets. It's basically like the Federal Reserve here just getting rid of Congress, which they basically have done. I mean, they've said they're above the law and run everything, and now the Super Congress has control of the purse. So really they've done that now here, not with a bang, but with a whimper. This is earth-shattering. And there's all the Club of Rome documents. There's all their statements. There's EU founders bragging in what the EU Observer, I mean, just all the data flashes before my eyes. It makes my brain burn. That they planned this decades ago and are now going, jeepers creepers, we just got the idea to save you. Give us all the power. Get rid of any liberty you have. And the head of the central bank in Ireland 4 months ago telling the BBC and other publications, it was a quote at a press conference, I think it's best to have Ireland run by foreign banks. That's a quote. I mean, that's like saying, I think it's best that Zorg from the planet Popple, Zoppel, run everything. I mean, it's so naked, out in the open. So that's going on. I haven't even scratched the surface. It's mind-blowing what's coming up. Bunch of gas. Stay with us.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
All right, let me just reset here for a moment. Because what happens is, I was up here till 10 o'clock last night, finishing up the hour-long plus TV show we did, InfoWars Nightly News, normally 30 minutes, over an hour last night. And then I listened to Bloomberg driving home, and then I did about 2 hours of research then, and couldn't sleep. I was so upset. And then by the time I get here with all this news, I've already been upset about it and thinking about it off and on the last 10 hours, and I'm almost befuddled with it. And that's what the globalist social engineers admit in their white papers and psychological warfare perspectives that we've ferreted out and published at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, is there is an attempt to overwhelm you. There is an attempt to give you so much stimuli that you basically just marvel at the beast, as John the Revelator said on the Isle of Patmos, been given a vision by God of what would come in the future. He marveled at the beast and with his mouth hanging open. And more and more, I marvel at the brazen hubris, the abject wickedness, the open tyranny. This is not like an elephant in the room. This is like a giant frothing whale in the room. And one side of me just says I should just cancel all the guests today. I'm not going to, because I want to talk about all this news. They are announcing forced inoculations of Gardasil for all girls in Mexico. A crippling, maiming sentence for many, death for many others. That right there has got me ready to drive to Mexico with an interpreter to try to bullhorn and warn people and, of course, be beat up and arrested by the police, whose own daughters will be maimed by it. They don't care. It's the nature of the compartmentalized system, how we destroy ourselves. They're now announcing they're going to try to push mandatory Gardasil shots for all boys in the U.S. That's in the Associated Press today. Napolitano has come out and attacked Drudge with a bunch of lies. And we've written an article, the 10 lies, 10 facts that prove Big Sis is wrong. And Drudge, of course, linked to that last night. I saw it this morning. I don't know if it's still there. Also, a well-known reporter and blogger and, I guess, actress, very lovely lady, reportedly had the TSA woman actually insert her fingers into her body through the clothing. She was shocked that she was able to do that and screamed and cried and begged for help and was reportedly laughed at, so she spoke out against it, and the TSA is now announcing that they're going to sue her. That's in Forbes and Associated Press. And then Big Sis announced last night that they're going to have MRI-powered level scanners. She wants to take her shoes off. Oh, I'll be taking my shoes off and braving the athlete's foot and flesh-eating bacteria where thousands of people have walked through that day at, you know, Newark, Liberty, or LAX, or all the other hellholes that I have to fly through. Ladies and gentlemen, you can pull up, just type MRIs cancer. They had the New York Times last year showing thousands of people permanently made bald, including women, by the cone of the MRI scanner because they're so high-powered. You have to calibrate them each week under federal and state law, a regular dental-type x-ray once a month, even a chest x-ray once a month. A private firm has to come in and certify. You have to have a radiation officer with a badge. TSA is totally exempt from all of that. They don't even give Congress radiation records, and when they were forced to, they were all fake. And they've had them in for 8 years, almost 8 years in Boston Logan, right at an 8-time increase in cancer over 8 years in that cancer cluster, so they're 8 for 8. And she just announces super high-powered feet scanners that will give a complete imaging scan of your feet. I mean, blasting you. A MRI dwarfs a chest x-ray. MRIs are extremely dangerous. They fire high-powered waves into your body. I mean, how do you think they're mapping every contour of the brain, every contour of the heart in a 3D model? I mean, this is hardcore pounding. And a lot of them are uncalibrated or aren't calibrated right. And boy, when they don't calibrate one right, sometimes people have strokes. And I just called Watson and told him, you got to do an article on this. And he's like, I'm already writing one on the global government announcement. And I said, I know, so I'll go talk to Nemo. Or Aaron was up here late, he's not here. I mean, I'm like in my bunker giving orders to armies that don't exist, just trying to warn people. I mean, that's a devastating announcement. And it's just a little footnote, and they're putting up random highway scanners that are so high-powered they make MRIs look tame, where they have families. I have newscasts drive under it, and troops, National Guard are running it, instead of fighting fires, are out there with cops running people through as they drive their cars under things. I've talked to different radiologists, 10 to 100 times a chest x-ray. I mean, 20 years ago, they wouldn't let troops use DU. Now they just hand it out to everybody and say it's fine when their own manuals say it's a death sentence. It ignites going out the barrel and gives you a lethal dose. It may take 20 years to kill you. 1 round of DU fired, you should be wearing a full mop gear, total decontamination, just to fire 1 round. It was only to be used inside of a full nuclear war with the Russians, with a 10-to-1 superiority when they poured across out of Eastern Europe into Germany. For ground troops to knock out tanks in a 10-to-1 superiority. And even then the Pentagon said it shouldn't be used. What changed? Where, hey, we'll just MRI your feet every time you fly. Hey, we'll just stick our hands down your pants. Hey, we'll just use DU. Hey, we'll have thousands of companies open-air GMO cross-species crops. What changed? It's like the elite want to destroy the earth. They want to destroy this creation. They are beyond madness, beyond lunacy. Now, I haven't even hit the big news yet. It's all happening. Wait till I get to this. They are openly engineering and announcing and pulling the trigger on the world government takeover program. It's now gone from... Stuff's getting crazier and crazier. Chuck Norris in his syndicated column yesterday plugged Infowars.com and pointed out that the war on terror is basically a fraud, that our government is enabling Al-Qaeda and rebranding the terror apparatus to suppress the American people. This was all over every major big conservative news magazine, Town Hall, World Net Daily, Ammo Land, just a huge story. We need to get Chuck back on the show. I know he's been a listener, I don't know, he said 15 years. He's been listening since close to the start. And it's hard to believe that there's criminal elements running the government. See, I'm not saying Al-Qaeda doesn't exist, so there aren't Muslim terrorist extremists. I'm explaining there's global corporate interest that are funding and protecting them to then menace the West to take our liberties and set up a control grid that's then used on the general public. And now, it's all come true. And Chuck heard me talk about this 7, 8, 9 years ago. And now he's starting to really go public. Look at the Drudge Report, the king of all news drivers, linking to us on a weekly basis, sometimes more often, carrying our report as a counter to Big Sis attacking him yesterday. We're really having a huge effect because we understand reality. We study how things really work. And we're willing to talk about it when most people aren't aware of it, knowing that over time the truth will defeat the lies. I'm hated, I'm demonized, I'm vilified, I'm attacked. But in the final equation, it doesn't matter because somebody's got to tell the truth. As Mark Twain said in the beginning, a patriot is a scarce man, hated and feared and brave. But in time, when his cause succeeds, the timid join him because then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Well, we haven't gotten to the point where it costs nothing. But if we are going to save this country and save Western civilization and save any form of our republic, we're going to have to face reality. And it's an ugly reality. Denial has let corrupt individuals really go far, to the point where they think they've got us. We're going to stick our hands down your pants. We're going to arrest 10-year-olds selling lemonade. We're not going to let you have gardens. We're going to shut down Gibson Guitar, tell them move to Madagascar. We're going to give waivers to insiders on health care. We're going to engage in this, and what you gonna do about it? Well, we're going to do a lot about it. That's what we're going to do. Now, I'll have to get to this more later. Again, what is my top story? They're now announcing they're going to put MRIs in that blast your feet, and of course, it'll continue the radiation up towards your genitals. I mean, that right there, just insane, hidden in plain view. Or the huge announcements in hundreds of newspapers, and the talking point must have gone out yesterday because I started seeing it in the news and then heard it on Bloomberg Financial, where all 5 of the guests all were reading, and I kept saying, are they playing the same tape? And it wasn't. It was their in-studio economist all reading the exact same thing. And I got home and searched it, and there it was in hundreds of news articles. The world will go into total depression. There'll be martial law and total collapse. That's in major newspapers today. If you don't give unlimited trillions to the banks and let them set up a financial union where you pay your carbon taxes and VAT to them. We must get rid of all sovereignty. The problem is democracy in Germany. They are voting Merkel's people out because they're handing all power over to this system. We've got to, and then experts, well, I think in the end it's all we can do. So yes, we'll do the reasonable thing and set up the governance system for the European financial structure to consolidate into a financial private corporate union. Yes, it is the plan. We're doing quite well. And then Bloomberg Financial is propagandizing for carbon taxes to shut us down, victim disarmament. I mean, it's just, you listen to them, but they all do it in real nice little NPR, calm voice, like, shh, listen, little girl, just get in the car with me and everything's going to be all right. I'm wearing a suit. I'm a distinguished, 70-year-old man. Get in the car. Just get in the car, America. Get in the car, Europe. Come on. And then we don't want to. They say, get in the car. Bad things are going to happen. Everything's going to collapse. And so we get in the car in 2008 and things are now worse. And we get in the car now and things are going to get worse by a bunch of criminal Ponzi scheme operators sitting up there snickering and laughing. And then on top of that, it's now confirmed what was first in the Gonzales paper and that we broke nationally at Infowars.com last night. It's now confirmed FEMA forces firefighters to stand down in Texas. Just like Katrina, they ordered to stand down.